ना तेरा खुदा कोई और है, ना मेरा खुदा कोई और है, ना तेरा खुदा कोई और है, ना मेरा खुदा कोई और है। ये जो रास्ते हैं जुदा जुदा, ये मामला कोई और है।
औज़ु बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम, बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम, अल्हम्दुलिल्लाहि रब्बिल आलमीन, वस्सलातु वस्सलामु खातमन नबीय्यीन व बअद। Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace and blessings on all, and may the mercy of God be on all. This is the universal greetings of peace used by all of the prophets. Yes, welcome to another episode in this new series of Building Bridges which we have started. And this is the series that talks about, Islam as a solution to many of the problems plaguing the contemporary world right now. This is the 5th episode, and inshallah, because there's so much to talk and it's such a vital topic, that we're going to go over a few more episodes so that we can cover these issues simply because they are so important and so relevant. And also, from the feedback that we get from you, the viewers, and we welcome that and we thank you for that. It has been stated that we should not, sometimes we are going too fast on the program. We are, giving too much of the information quickly, and rather we spend time on it, and so that the viewer can follow through with it, because it's easy from our side. We've done the preparation, so we're just going through it, flip the next slide, but you, the viewer on that side, it's going too fast for you. So that's one of the feedbacks came from the viewers, and we appreciate that, because at the end of the day, this is a two-way process, and we like that kind of feedback. We like positive criticism. We also want you to know that especially for those new viewers who are joining Building Bridges, and it's always increasing, and we thank you for that, because let's go around building these bridges of understanding. You remember we concluded last episode by saying let's walk the talk in our own areas, in our own communities. That's what is needed. We need to do that ourselves, walk the talk, be the ambassador of peace around, be the one who's building bridges in your community. Then, and tell others to watch Building Bridges program, because this program is not attacking anybody. It is not a judgmental on any group, community, race, whatever. This is just a sharing of ideas, but the whole program is done from an Islamic perspective. It's done from the position of the Quran and Sunnah, yes. And that is why we're giving the position, all these issues we're discussing from an Islamic perspective, which is based on the Quran and the prophetic traditions, the Sunnah of the Prophet, peace be upon him, the final messenger to humanity. And in that spirit, we always say, we can listen to one another, but we can agree to disagree as well. We may not accept one another's views, but we can respect one another's views. So this is how the program is going. And also, it's also based on a very fundamental principle of Islam, which you'll see on our screen on the back, which tells you that we are all, the children of Adam, and especially the Jews, Muslims, and Christians are the Abrahamic family, and that humanity is one family. So again, this is the central foundation and approach, because again, this is very much grounded in the Islamic traditions, in the original divine revealed book, which is Al-Quran, which in the Quran itself, God Almighty Allah talks to humanity, directly, and says that as humanity, we are part of the family of humanity, all of us, regardless of our religion, our color, our creed. So yes, having said that background, and in the last segment of this program, we will give you our details again for you to contact us, to send us your questions, your comments, and your constructive feedback. So we are discussing Islam offers valuable solutions for today's problems. And that is exactly what we're going to be doing. It just as a recap, we say that this is an analytical and comparative approach. And, we're going to look at it from various quotations from various world leaders and thinkers. And then we'll look at where have we gone wrong. We'll first show what went wrong and what's the current situation, why it came to that, what's the causes of these problems, and then, what's the solution and what does Islam say, and can Islam provide solutions? And, from when we talk from the Islamic perspective, I just said it earlier on, the manifesto of Islam is the Quran and the Sunnah, or the example of the Prophet, peace be upon him. So that is what we base, and I might just again remind ourselves, when we discuss religion, and even anything we discuss, don't get personal. When you always discuss, you can disagree with an idea. You don't disagree with a person. You can disagree, but don't be disagreeable, right? And here, when we look at, when we're looking especially on this topic that we are doing, we're going to be looking at various systems, various religions, various movements. We must not personalize it. Don't paint everybody with the same brush. And number two, don't judge. It's not an indictment on the followers of that religion. So don't judge a religion or a movement by its followers, because you get good followers and bad followers. You get good Muslims and bad Muslims. You get good Christians and bad Christians, and so on and so on. So can't judge everybody. All the five fingers are not the same. In the family, all are not the same. Everyone is unique. And so therefore, let's not paint everybody with the same brush. And that's a very important aspect when we're looking at things. Always keep a critical mind. Don't be judgmental. Don't generalize. And don't be personal. Don't attack people personally, but rather, you discuss and disagree on issues. Don't disagree with people and personalities. And one of this, to recap, just so that everybody can follow, we did say that Islam is not a religion in the common understanding of the term religion. Rather, it's a deen, the word D-E-N or D-E-A, and however you want to say it. It's the Arabic word, which has a very much more broader meaning. It means a complete system and way of life for all of humanity. That's what, it's not just a religion. And we have given these examples that before the Prophet, peace be upon him, religion and life were regarded as exclusively separate entities. Life was something else in what's going on in life, our daily living, and religion was something else, something just confined to personal things. But the Prophet, peace be upon him, came and said, no, religion and life go together. Life is part of religion, and religion is part of life. And that was the teachings of all the prophets, by the way. And we also mentioned an important point that, again, Islam's view is we accept all the prophets that came before the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And we accept that they were divine messengers and that they preached correctly the message of God Almighty. They preached this deen. We gave verses in the previous, that they also came and preached what you're seeing on your screen, this on the background there, that religion and life and religion are all intertwined. It's an integralistic way of looking at life. They preach that because that's coming from the same creator. I gave the example that if it's a company, God Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the CEO, or is the owner of the company, and all these prophets were the reps and the managers and line managers and area managers, and the company works under one set of protocols and values and things, and they all worked it. But what happened then? What actually happened is that people changed the message of the messengers. That's where the crisis of religion took place. It happened in Judaism, and prior to that as well. It happened in, with the teachings of Moses, peace be upon him. The people, who he came to after him, and in fact, even in his lifetime, they started changing things. The books, as well as what he had to say, many of it. Same thing happened to Jesus, peace be upon him. After his lifetime, the people changed his original scriptures that were given to him, and his practices and his ways. And that's happened in the world of the Muslim world as well. That after the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, again, it started in the Muslim world. Again, people started with their own ideas and moved away from the original teaching. So it is common. This is in religion. So we need to all come back to that original concept. And we did say that when we say Islam offers a solution, we are showing that Islam is just not in a personal rituals and dogmas, but it covers all aspects of human life. We're not going to go into these things in detail because we did it. We're just recapping. And the very fundamental principle of all the prophets' teaching, all the prophets that came, encourage the good and forbid the bad. That's the fundamental teachings. And now coming closer, just to recap some of the great minds we spoke about is Einstein, and we're not going to go into it, we've done it. And Einstein, in a nutshell, had to say is that what has happened is that we started relying too much on our own thinking and material things and, not the values. And Allama Iqbal, this is the probably the new quotation we'll start off from here. And Allama Iqbal, he was Dr. Iqbal. He was one of the great minds of the last century from the Indo-Pak subcontinent. And he says one of the other causes that we went off is we focus on the material. A similar kind of thing that Einstein and many of the other great thinkers have said. And I'm quoting this. So therefore, maybe we'll go and take an ad break. After this break, we'll come back and we don't want to rush through taking the advice given from you, the viewers. I think we will come back and discuss this because these are great thinkers. And we can't just gloss over. These are the people who took time. These are the people who changed the course of history. These are the people who really gave direction to a world at a global level, at a very significant level. And therefore, it's important for us to ponder and to imbibe and to take in what they are saying so that we can internalize it and thereafter, we can act on it. So stay tuned. We'll be back after the break.
اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد.
Welcome back. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yes, we said we're going to look more closely into this one of these slides we have by the great thinker Allama Iqbal, and he says, in fact, on ITV, if you look, one of the programs we have is, on this Allama Iqbal. We have Brother Abdullah Didat who does this program, and I think it's very interesting to listen to that series as well, because this was a man of great deep insight and thought. And look what he's saying about one of the causes of our world that we are living in, And he says, thus wholly overshadowed by the results of his intellectual activity, the modern man has ceased to live soulfully. That is, from within. In the domain of thought, he is living in open conflict with himself. And in the domain of economic and political life, he is living in open conflict with others. He finds himself unable to control his ruthless egoism and his infinite gold hunger, which is gradually killing all higher strivings in him and bringing him but life weariness. Absorbed in the fact, that is to say, the optically present source of sensation, he is entirely cut off from the unplumbed depths of his own being. Now, to unpack this, it's in the same thought of all the other great scholars we've been quoting, European scholars, and scholars from all over the world. He's saying here, which is quite interesting again, it's coming back to the focus on material, on greed, on egoism, and on ourselves. And as a result of this is leading to the conflicts that we are seeing in the world. So I think that, we are talking about the causes. Remember I said in our outline how we're going to do this program. We're going to do this program by looking at what are the causes of this problem, that brought us to this situation. And then only after that, we can then go and look at the solutions, which will be in subsequent episodes. In the previous programs, we looked at what the situation, is, what led to the situation in some of the outcomes. What are the current outcomes, where we are, what brought us today, and how we are currently in terms of people have renounced religion and they have, what they have done there wrongfully, and we've quoted people on that. So let's come, when we said we want to talk about the causes, that was being the last quotation, let's summarize now from all the various, two episodes in the past. Let's summarize and sort of group them up, and we brought it to about six basic causes here that brought us to where we are today as humanity. Perhaps even before we go to read this, just to recap again, I think it's very important for us to recap something we said earlier on, that, somehow or the other, we still have this perception and this thinking that we are better and sharper than the people of the past. This is always another story, and that we think, modernity means that the old was bad and the new is better. But, as you get older like me, you'll end up and say old is gold, and new is something that you got to view very well. Don't just take everything new. You got to look at it and sift it. When the mother and they're cooking in the kitchen, they have a sieve. So when they buy the flour or whatever from the shop, it's already packed. But even so, they take it and they do their own sifting. So they don't want the dirt to other bad things to come. They only want the good to come through. It's a modern society. They're just accepting everything. There's no sieve. You just pour it straight into what you're taking, everything, the good and the bad. Remember, we did that one verse of the Quran, wherein God Almighty is talking about that where it, unfortunately, the process, the natural process was the sifting, where you take the good and you get rid of the bad. Ta'maruna bil ma'ruf wa tanhauna 'anil munkar. That's what it means. That when iron ore, it has to go through a process to extract the iron from the ore. Gold, you got to extract the gold from the other things that are with it, that is not copper. You got to extract all those the non-metal ingredients and the stone from the copper itself. There's a process of sifting. But, it seems that, in modernity, we just want to swallow everything, thinking that it is good. So it's important for us to understand that with all this that we think that we have achieved, what it landed us with. Here we are talking, 2016. 2,000 years after Jesus, peace be upon him, and 1,437 years after the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And we've gone back, because of our own wrongdoings. And we had 2 world wars. In that same process, Europe, that same Europe, which finally, listening to the people like Bertrand Russell, which we gave the quotation to, and he says, the real thing that's putting us down, and the real dragon, he used the word dragon, the real dragon that is destroying us is religion, and therefore we must take this dragon and get rid of this dragon. That's what Bertrand Russell, and that's what Europe did. After the French Revolution, you'll find Europe broke itself away from the church, and they said religion is dogma. And what they did is, they threw the dirty water out with the baby in the bathtub. They said, don't throw the baby with the dirty water. And that's what they did. And Einstein told them that. And Einstein said that, and we're saying it again. It brought us 2 world wars. Look at, as we're speaking right now, in our own country in South Africa, after 22 years of democracy, which is supposed to bring us peace and happiness, what are we seeing? Look around you. I don't like to sign doom and gloom. We always have our approach that there is hope, and we like to give solutions rather than dwell on the problems. Look at the world as such, right now as we speak, all over the world, whichever side you look at, and look at the conflicts that are going through in the world, the strife, that we are in the world. So is modern man better? Are we so sharp that we think we are, with all our electronic gadgets and everything? You think we are sharp? And, I think we need to relook at this. I think we got to relook at ourselves carefully, what have we achieved? And what is it, where did we go wrong? Unless we don't do that analysis, we're going to carry on in this wrong way. So if we come to the slide, and says, look at what are the causes of our present crisis. If you have to just put it together, it may not be the complete. I mean, this is there could be more, and that's why you, the viewer, remember this is an open discussion. So we welcome you. Remember, no single person. Another attitude we must have is I must not think that I know everything. You see. That we must always have this understanding that I'm going to learn something from the next person, and which is a fact of life. Any human being you're going to come across in life, even that person who's sweeping the street, is better than you in many things. He knows something more than you, which you don't know. You could be the professor or the PhD. So don't ever think that I know it all. And I think we need to have, if we have that attitude, then we can really benefit from our interactions from one another. So coming to this slide, let's look at some of the causes that led us to where we are. We're talking at a global level. We're talking at a macro level, right? We have reduced human beings, number one, to only material beings. We have reduced the human being to a material. So we are only material. We only mind, body, and matter. That's it, and we must feed that, you see. So that's one of the causes, and many we gave all that, we don't want to go back into it. The past episodes are there. You go to the ITV website and you can pick up those past episodes. Number two, reversal of values. We have reversed values. Now, this is very important. You know what we are saying here. Again, remember, values is not time-bound and time-based. If something is true, it is true now, it will be true 1,000 years from now. It will also, the truth is the truth. You can't change the truth. You can't say it will be true now and it will be lies later on. It doesn't work that way. That's not, a fact is a fact. 1,000 years later, it will still be a fact. But modern society, modern human beings, thinking that they are sharp, they say, no, you know what the old folks were saying, it's backward, we don't have to follow, it's outdated, those values. Now, I want to give one example, and this is what led us to problems. This is exactly what led us to problems. I want to give you an example of this. Maybe let's just do that, and I want to give you two people on this because we're discussing this issue. So let's go and look at this other slide here that is given by one of the other great things, the Dalai Lama. And he says, people were created to be loved, and things were created to be used. The reason why the world is in chaos is because things are being loved and people are being used. How profound is that? This is that what we're saying. We have reversed values. We have reversed the way we relate to one another and how we relate to the cosmos around us. This is a big problem in our lives. This is a fundamental, basic issues from an individual level. And, let's read that again. People were created to be loved and things were created to be used. But the reason the world is in chaos is because things are being loved and people are being used. And that's because we're focusing, we have become animals again. We are reducing ourselves just to material. We are no different, in an animal world. In the jungle, we're going back to the jungle. Modern man thinking is going back to the jungle. The law of the jungle. Right lies in might. Survival of the fittest. No morals and no values. And I think we need to relook at ourselves. It's all gone wrong. It's a complex. So you can't discuss this, or you can't give one reason. You can't say there's only one cause. It's a complex situation. It may apply to you, me and you. Some of these things will apply to me, some will not apply to me. Some will apply to you, will not. Some will apply to our country, South Africa, as a government. Some will apply to China as a government. Some will apply to us as communities and nations and tribes in community levels, at different levels of existence and society. We have to take these things, we are just giving the broad outlines. Let me give you another example of this reversal of values. This reversal of values. Look at this quotation by Dr. Norman Finkelstein. Now, Dr. Norman Finkelstein is, again, a very great thinker. He's an Israeli. He's from Israel. Right? He's a Jew and he's in Israel. But look what a mind he has in analyzing the world. He's giving one, I'm giving you an example, and look at what he says. He says, when Europeans came to North America, the thing that they said about the Native Americans was that they were so barbaric because they walked around naked. The European women were wearing 3 layers of clothes at that time. You see the European lady on the left, right? Then they came to North America and decided that the Native Americans were backward because they were all walking around naked, and similar happened in Africa as well. And now we are walking around naked. The European woman, the more advanced, the more modern, and the more sharp you are, enlightened and liberated the woman is, the more naked she is. The more she shows of her nudity, the more liberated she is. And we say that the Muslims are backward because they wear so much clothes. Can you imagine anything more barbaric? Banning women wearing headscarves. See the reversal of values. This is not coming from a Muslim man. It's not coming from a Christian man. It's coming from an Israeli citizen, right? But it's coming from a man who's a thinker. Remember we said not all Jews are bad, not all Christians are bad, not all Indians are bad, not all Africans are bad. Don't paint everybody with the same brush. You're going to learn a lot from everybody. And this is an attitude we must also have. And this is Building Bridges actually promotes that concept of wanting to learn from one another. Unless we don't have an open mind and an open window to exchange ideas. Another big calamity, it comes in that ego principle of the ego that we were talking about. If we come back to our slide, this whole, what Allama Iqbal said, that our egos became inflated. If you are an egoist, you feel you know it all. And then you shut yourself out from listening to anybody else. And that's what creates another problem, is this attitude of, I know it all, I'm better than them, we are superior to them, and we are better than them. You see, ana khairum minhum. This is what in the Quran, from the Quranic perspective of Satan and Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden and all that story, the bottom lesson, and Satan was then banished by God Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For what reason? For this better than thou attitude. When God Almighty told all the angels to bow down to Adam, right? And they all bowed down except Iblis, except Satan, except this Lucifer, which the Bible calls him. And when God Almighty Allah asked him, why, oh Satan, why didn't you bow down? He says, Ana khairum minhum. I'm better than him. I'm made from fire. He's made from clay, black clay, So God told him, Wa kana minal kafirin. Get out of my sight. You are the rejected one in my sight. Why? Because you have this attitude of better than thou. You're starting to discriminate now in front of me. You want to discriminate and coming with all these concepts. So, this attitude has to change. And all this because we do not want to hear. I'm saying this for a very important reason. We are in the field, and this is a very important point. I don't know how many of you are aware of this. How many of you are aware of what I'm going to tell you now? And this is applying in all cultures, in all religions. Christianity, Judaism, Islam, and whatever other systems that you're going. You know what is applies? The leaders of those movements will tell their followers, don't listen to those other guys. Don't read the books of those other guys. Those guys are Satanists. Those guys are like this, and they'll corrupt your mind. It's happening. It's happening right now. It happened in the past. And it is happening present, and it's going to carry on happening in the future, where you are conditioning people's mind to, and creating phobias of the other person, the fear of the unknown, and the fear, don't go and don't listen to the others there, they are like this and like that, don't even pick up their books. And I'm saying that is why the world can only be a better place if we open up our minds and open up our hearts and interact with one another. That when the Quran spoke about this, I'm just dwelling on this concept because it's important that it fits in with all the things that we are doing. And that is that God Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He made us into these nations and tribes. It's in the Quran, chapter 49, verse 13. God Almighty Allah is talking to all of human beings, Jews and Christians and different colors and races. I've made you into all this different variety, this mosaic of beautiful people. لِتَعَارَفُوا, so that you come to know and recognize and respect and learn from one another and enrich yourselves from this cultural diversity, not to discriminate against one another and to look down at one another. This is how life should be. If we all practice this, the world can be at a better place. Stay tuned, we'll be back after the break.
Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammadin. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammadin.
Welcome back. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yes, we're discussing the causes of our present crisis, and we have listed just 6 here. There could be more, but the program is limited, and we're just trying to, in our perspective, after doing research and many other scholars and taking their, what they've been saying, we reduced it to, these are 6 broad principles, and we're still going to go and still unpack this. We're just giving you the broad principles, and then we're going to take each one and we're going to unpack it and show you how, where it went wrong, how it went wrong, what other systems, how other systems in the world, religions, call them social movements, political movements, call them what you want to call them, how they view these things, and then we'll come to see what Islam has to say, and then we can make a good comparative analysis of all this here. So, when it comes to this reversing of values, I just want to say, there's the second reason, there's the second causes of the problems of the world today is that we have reversed values. I want to give, especially our youngsters, I want to talk to our youth, and I feel very sorry for them. I'm not attacking them. I sympathize and empathize with the youth. I remember doing once a radio program a few years ago, and it was a light-hearted slot, and it was talking about which were better times, the good old days or now. That was that way, when was it better to live? Is it better to live now, or was it better to live 50, 100 years ago? And the talk was along those lines, the good old days or today. And people were coming and, trying to say that, the youth of today, they're not like how we were youth. They don't listen. They got their own mind. They're rebellious. They're damaging. They're destructive. And all these things were going on. And I came and I was hosting the program. And I only asked one question. I say, look, we come also from the last generation, the old days, right? We grew up in the 50s. We grew up before apartheid, and it was still British colonialism. And we asked only one question. When we were youth, we didn't have all these influences. We didn't have television. We didn't have all these drugs that is in every home around the street corner. We didn't have all these discos and satanic musics and kwaitos that brainwashes our children. We didn't have WhatsApp, social media that you can, on the palm of your hand, you can bring either all the good or all the bad right in front of you. These are challenging environments and times for our youth. Don't blame our youth. We were good because the society was good. There was not much evil in our society. So we have to realize that the youth today is in a very challenging environment, and we got to equip this youth to withstand these challenges. We were, ours was there's not much evil. I give you a simple example to say what I'm saying. In our days, you didn't have to lock your door even. You didn't have to lock your door. Because, the community protected you, there was all that and all, there was not crime as you see today. But today, because of there's so much of crime, what you do? You got to take more. Not only you lock your door with one lock, you put a second lock. Not only you putting locks, you're putting video cameras. You're not only putting video cameras, you're putting alarm systems. You're not only putting alarm system, you connecting that alarm system to the direct instant response with the securities company. Not only you doing that, you are keeping a panic buttons, 2, 3 panic buttons, one with you, one there. So if something happens, I can press the panic button so it can ring. So many precautions you are taking today because of the changed environment. How many alarm systems are we giving our youth? How many systems are we giving our youth to protect our youth from what is going on around us? So don't be judgmental on them. But I want to just share one thing because of the environment and talking directly to the youth and those people who are thinking that values change with time. Values don't change with time. This is the big mistake again. And that's what Einstein and many other philosophers were saying. That's the mistake that was made. I give you the example of a road. When you're driving on a road, you see there is a barrier line and some places there's a broken line, isn't it? Certain places, when there's a broken line, you can overtake. And when there's a barrier line, means no overtaking. Now I'm asking the question, if after 1,000 years we come, is anybody going to change those road markings? Because why was those road markings? Those road markings are the values in this analogy we're giving. Is it going to change because we have gone 100 years more modern now? You think that guy making that road sign, he had no other, he just felt like making a straight line and he was tired, then he was not tired, he made broken lines. He just felt like doing it himself, making designs on the road. Where is a barrier line put on a road? A barrier line is put when there is a blind rise. When you know you won't be able to see the car coming from the other side. Therefore, there's a barrier line. Don't cross this barrier line. No overtaking. Or it's in a bend, in a road. When there's a bend, you cannot see the car coming from the side. These are the places where the barrier lines. Now, whether you come 1,000 years later, that barrier line is still valid because that's the value that's going to protect us. It's there to protect us. It's for our safety and security and morality and our peace and everything that goes with it. So can you believe people who want to come and say, no, that was for the olden days, we are modern guys now. So you see, we have to think carefully of what is going on in the world today. And we got to re-look at ourselves fundamentally. Let's go to our slide, and let's see what's the third cause of what are one of the third major causes: rejecting the form of religion rather than religion per se, leading to security. See, in fact, it should be the other. They have rejected religion rather than the form of the religion. That's what has happened. You find people started to reject religion as such, rather than maybe that form of religion, which was maybe, which church they were going to or which group they're following. Even if it's in the Muslim world, you're following a certain group or a certain, and then you're basing your whole philosophy of life on what your leader or your priest or your group is saying, rather than what the religion itself is saying, rather than what the scriptures are saying. And based on that, many people, today's modern thought, what's happening today in the modern world? Well, Europe, this is what led to the French Revolution in Europe. You know what was the whole story in Europe? Because it was by the Catholic Church, it was the Roman Catholic Church that was, they with what you call the landlords, right? They were the ones, it was the feudal system controlling everything. But they were against the church, so there was this uprising against, from the peasants, and they said, no, you can't rule us like this. And so they were against religion rather than against that form of religion that was being practiced at the time. So we need to make this distinction. So stay tuned. We'll be back after the break to complete the last segment of this program.
اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد.
Welcome back. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yes, we are on the last segment of this episode of Building Bridges Between the Faiths. And as usual, in this last segment, we have to give you, the viewer, the opportunity to air your views. This is where we actually air your questions and your comments and share them with you. And I think this is what and this is also the time where we will give you our details for future, communication with us. So you can get your pens ready and take down our details. And remember, on these episodes, you can always log on to the ITV website and get them in there. And there are many other good programs that are running there. And that's the whole idea of this program. It is in this way that we can be interacting. We hope down the road, we could reach a situation where we're just giving you an idea to perhaps once a month have a live program, because we have done live programs where you can actually, the viewership can phone in, and have this interactive comment live. But, as we say, we are working on this depending now on how we're going to structure this. So this is an option we are looking for. Now, here again, in terms of the Q&A, among the comments we did give you at the beginning in the first segment that we value the one comment about, not rushing through the slides and the programs because people want to take note. In fact, I was surprised, I was in discussion with somebody the other day, and they told me that there was they know of a person that's there who actually sits with a pen and a paper and actually takes down, the verses and the points. And that's so good, because that shows somebody who's interested. Because look, to prepare this program, we don't just come here and sit and this is not a talk show where we just saying things off our head. this program, to come here, we do a lot of background research. You know, we got to look around, get the right references, get the right things, and bring it to you. And even with all that, you know, we still want your comments. We still want your feedback, and because we're going to learn from one another. This is a two-way process. So now, in terms of question and answer, because we're doing it, there's quite two or three came through. I'm just summarizing it in overall, that I think what has coming through by some people is that, I don't know if I brought it here. Oh yeah, here's it here. This is the gist of what is coming through from some quarters, is that Islam is terrorism. So how can Islam be the solution if Islam promotes terrorism? Now, I mean, again, that's a valid question, you know, from some of the viewership who have the opinion that we are doing a series now, which is saying that Islam can solve the world's problems. And there are some of the opinion that actually Islam is the cause of the world's problems right now. That most of the cause of the world problems is these suicide bombers and these terrorists and the Middle East up in flames. So Islam is the problem. Now, I think, again, in keeping with how this program goes, it is an open program. And if we exchange these views and these ideas in an amicable way, that's what we want. We don't have to fight about it. We respect other views, even if we don't accept other views. And that's the spirit in which we want to work. Now, the first response to this question is what we said at the very beginning, I think, on the first episode of this series, Islam as a solution to the world's problem, is that don't mix Islam with the Muslims. Don't make them as the same. Don't combine Islam and Muslim and say Islam is equal to Muslims and Muslims is equal to Islam. Don't make that mistake. Because if you want to do that, then if you want to say if Christianity is equal to Christians, then we can say the Crusade Wars is equal to Christianity. Because the Pope Urban, right, when he started the Crusade Wars in the year 1095, Pope Urban II, he started a Crusade War against the whole Muslim world at that time, from Rome across Europe. And it's stated that when the Christian Crusaders, when they finally conquered Jerusalem, the blood of the Christians and those Jews who were living there was knee-deep in the horses, the knee-deep on the horses' feet, the blood, the way they were butchered, right, by the Christian Crusaders. Can we say, so because of that, Christianity is evil and Christianity promotes terrorism and violence? Or would you say we put that on Pope Urban's door? Let's go to the person. This is the mistake Europe made, which is Einstein was trying to tell them, that you threw the baby with the dirty water out from the tub. They could have taken offense or looked at it critically and say, maybe that pope or that religious leader at a certain time is wrong. He's not acting in accordance with the religious scriptures. So we don't say the religion is bad, we say the leader of that religion is bad. This is the mistake they are making now with Islam. ISIS and all this, what's going on in the world, and suicide bombers and all, Al-Qaeda and all these things. They are in Muslim groups. And are you going to compare them to with all the Muslims? Leave the Islam. Firstly, Muslims are different from Islam. The followers are different from the religion. So let's make that distinction first. So this question, Islam is terrorism, it's unfortunate what's going on in the media. It is unfortunate that the media has equated terrorism with Islam. When Timothy McVeigh in America, the Christian Timothy McVeigh, when he bombed the Oklahoma towers, the Oklahoma building, not one news media said Christian fundamentalist terrorists bombed that. This guy Breivik, from Norway. Breivik was the guy who target shooting, premeditated target shooting. It took him, at least a day or 1.5 days. He was targeting and shooting and killing these youth, these students. And he even put bombs in Norway. Not a single headline said, and if you look at his website, he's coming from a Christian, he's based on his Christian belief. Not one media said fundamentalist, fanatic, Christian terrorist Breivik. But just let the one incident happen, we don't even know who did it. Islamic terrorists, Islamic fundamentalists. So I don't blame this person who sent us these emails. They are just influenced from the media. And our second response to them is, Don't follow everything you listen to in the media. Again, this media is controlled, and there's too much lies in the media. Lies is made look like truth, and truth is made to look like lies. So we got to be critical about that as well. It's who's controlling the media will give you their version of the story. It's like history, H-I-S-T-O. History is not necessarily what happened in the past. History is his story. If you break it down, H-I-S, it's his story. It's his version of what happened in the past. It's not necessarily the true version. I always say there are three versions to everything. My version, your version, and the truth. The truth may be lying between our two versions. And that is why it is very important for us to be critical. We got to analyze and critical. I must be able to be critical and get the facts that is there. So I think it's very important for us, to separate these issues. And I think maybe on the terrorism, let's go to what one German scholar said. I think it's important to put this. We did a whole series on this, but I think this clip is very important. A German scholar, when he was asked about terrorism and Islam, he said, who started the First World War? It was not Muslims. Who started the Second World War? It was not Muslims. Who killed 20 millions of Aborigines in Australia? It was not the Muslims. And who sent the nuclear bomb of Hiroshima and Nagasaki and killed the innocent people in Japan that ended World War II? It was not Muslims. Who killed more than 100 millions of Red Indians in North America? It was not Muslims. Who killed more than 50 millions of Red Indians, the Incas in South America? It was not Muslims. Who took about 180 million of African people as slaves, and 88% of them died and were thrown in the Atlantic Ocean and taken to the Americas? It was not Muslims. No, not Muslims. First of all, you have to define terrorism properly. If a non-Muslim does something bad, it is a crime. But if a Muslim commits the same crime, he is a terrorist. So I think this is quite important for us. This is a German scholar. And what we are saying is terrorism knows no religion. We are not for terrorism. So we'll condemn terrorism. If it's a Muslim terrorist, he's wrong. He's not in my name. Islam does not promote terrorism. And you cannot kill innocent people. We must condemn him. So it's just a matter of, again, I would maybe, under that 6, we had this, that slide we were doing the causes of that. We said there were six points. We probably could add the 7th one. One of the causes of our problem is the distortion of facts, is the distortion of history, is manipulating the media, has led to where we are today. How many wars was not started on a lie? Come, we want to talk on wars and lies. When they invaded Iraq, when George Bush invaded Iraq, the Americans, every single one, including the United Nations, and every single expert told them Saddam Hussein does not have weapons of mass destruction. I'm not defending Saddam Hussein. I didn't like his regime. He was a dictator. I'm agreeing with that. But again, a whole war, a whole country was destroyed. Over 1 million men, women, and children were left maimed. A whole country was left destroyed on a lie. They knew full well there was no weapons of mass. This is the world today. So we got to be even questioning people in authority. Today, unfortunately, people are just believing what they read in the headlines and believing what people in position are saying. We have to be critical. Unless the ordinary people don't stand up and question authority, gets another reason why we are in the position where we are. So I hope, inshallah, that we continue with this discussion, and we come and bring us together, no matter what religion we are. We are all the human race, and we need to work together to make a better world. That's what it's not about, this religion or against that concept. We will take the best concept and the best values, because we are all in the same boat, and let us all work together to make sure that we remove the storms and we remove the bugs and we remove all the dangers so that the ship can sail safely and reach its destination. Till we meet again, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
ना तेरा खुदा कोई और है, ना मेरा खुदा कोई और है, ना तेरा खुदा कोई और है, ना मेरा खुदा कोई और है। ये जो रास्ते है जुदा जुदा ये मामला कोई और है।